Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Augment Your Week. Give everybody just a moment or two to jump on here. It's great to be with you. Just had a wonderful weekend up at the cabin with a couple, working on those things that are most important in a marriage, and what a rewarding weekend. Great to be with all of you this morning. I want to walk you through a very specific sequence this morning because there's something that's been on my heart that I think may serve us all. So let's give everybody just a moment. Those watching this after the fact, thank you for being patient. It's great to have you here on a beautiful Monday morning, November 18th, 2019. You know, in Augrowth, scroll number 5, and he talks about, I'll live this day as if it is my last. What we do know, he's not saying that if I were going to die tomorrow, what would I do today? Because we'd probably do something very different. We probably wouldn't be working. On the other hand, at midnight tonight, November 19th, 2019 is gone. It's gone forever. And when Og talks about not letting one drop spill upon the sand, not spending one moment mourning yesterday's defeats, yesterday's aches of the heart, nor tormenting myself over things that may never come to pass. In the spirit of staying really present in the now, I want to walk you through a series of statements from scrolls, quotes from the scrolls that have been on my heart the last couple of days, and see if we can make sense out of it. Because many are going through what I call a very thorough testing. I'd like to think it's to prepare us to be more empathetic, to serve other people more effectively. And if we're willing to submit to that kind of a preparation, it can be very thorough and very painful. We may not like the way the universe, God teaches, but we can certainly be blessed by it. So in the midst of a firestorm, what do we do? It's interesting that in scroll number 3 on I'll persist until I succeed, which comes right after I'll greet this day with love in my heart. These are sequentially really important. So I'll learn how to love people, then I'll learn how to persist. He says in the Orient, young bulls are tested, and I have it in quotation marks, tested for the fight arena. In a certain manner, each is allowed to attack a picador, which pricks them with a lance. And the bravery of each bull is determined by its willingness to charge in spite of the sting of the blade. When we think about the sting of the blade, what is the sting of the blade for you right now in your life? That thing that's just painful. It just keeps happening. Later in the scroll, he said, I'll remember the ancient law of averages, and I will bend it to my good. I will persist with knowledge that each failure to sell or to succeed increases my chances for the next attempt. And then he goes on to say this, each obstacle I will consider as a mere detour to my goal and a challenge to my profession. I will persist, and here comes the key phrase, and develop my skills as the mariner develops his by learning to ride out the wrath of each storm. We talk about being able to acquire ever-increasing levels of ability to handle ever-increasing levels of responsibility with ever-increasing levels of ease. Well, how do we acquire the ability? It's not just a function of time and showing up. It's a function of getting pricked by that lance and charging in spite of the sting of the blade. It's learning how to ride out the wrath of each storm. That's how we gain the ability. And if we go back to scroll 2, buried in this scroll, hidden almost, unless we really are paying attention, August just told us that we can use love to open the heart. And unless we master this art, we're no more than a peddler in the marketplace. Then how will I do this? How will I do this? Henceforth, I will look on all things with love. That's agape love. That's a heightened level of awareness. That's seeing the circumstance for what it is in the moment that we're in it. Oh my goodness. And he says, and I'll be born again. I'll have a new life. I will grow. It's being born. I'll grow. I'll be able to handle greater levels of responsibility. And that which used to cripple me, 8 o'clock would happen at 8 and would bury me for a day. Now I handle 3 of them by 9 and it's no big deal, right? Because we've acquired that ability. But this is what he says. I will love the sun, for it warms my bones. This week we sent Paul off to Cabo to get some rest, and that sun is warming his bones. Yet I love the rain, for it cleanses my spirit. What rain are you experiencing? I love the light, for it shows me the way, yet I love the darkness, for it shows me the stars. I remember pulling away from our dream home in 1990. I won't tell you the whole story behind it, but it was just awful to pull out of the driveway in that Ryder truck. But there's my sweetheart in our 12-passenger van with our 7 children singing camp songs. Yes, it took darkness for me to truly see and appreciate and love the stars in my life. Mythologically, they were diamonds, to see the diamonds in our life. Sometimes the sunlight of success obscures our vision. And frankly, that brightness blinds us from those things that are most important in our lives. What a tragedy. I said before, no success compensates for failure in the home. But success at certain levels can cause us to question our faith, cause us to question our commitments. And we can make really sad mistakes, which bring on darkness. And hopefully we discover that before it gets too late. I think sometimes we have challenges and trials to humble us, to slow us down, have us just get back in touch with and grounded with what's most important in our lives. I will welcome happiness, for large is my heart. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Yet I'll endure sadness, for it opens my soul. Anybody experience a sad situation with a child or a spouse or a friend or a neighbor or a grandparent, maybe a death? Just opens our soul. And then this one, I will acknowledge rewards, for them I do. Yet I will welcome obstacles. Welcome obstacles, for they are my challenge. I've often wondered as I read this over the years, welcome obstacles. Why? Because we get them. It's part of life. It's just part of life. There's no straight trajectory to the top. It's like this with a lot of effort. And we're going to have challenges and obstacles, and they are our teachers. We've talked about this before. They can teach us great lessons for doing things better, and they can prepare us to more effectively serve another. Scroll 7, Og says, I will laugh at the world. He says, when these things happen, let's go to scroll 7. We've all heard this many, many times. And how can I laugh when confronted with man or deed which offends me so to bring forth my tears and my curses? 4 words will I train myself to say until they become a habit so strong that immediately they will appear in my mind whenever good humor threatens to depart from me. Isn't that a wonderful poetic way of saying when a challenge comes? When good humor threatens to depart from me. These words, passed down from the ancients, will carry me through every adversity and maintain my life in balance. These 4 words are, this too shall pass. And with my laughter, all things will be reduced to their proper size. I will laugh at my failures, and they will vanish in clouds of new dreams. I will laugh at my successes, and they will shrink to their true value. I will laugh at evil, and it will die untasted. I will laugh at goodness, and it will thrive and abound. Each day will be triumphant only when my smiles bring forth smiles from others. And this I do in selfishness, for those on whom I frown are those who purchase not my goods. And lastly, scroll 9. I will act now, because often we want to feel like acting before we act. We want to have an inspired idea that ignites our passion before we act. That's wonderful when that occurs, but it doesn't always occur. So he says, henceforth, I'll remember the lesson of the firefly who gives off its light being a metaphor for inspiration, only when it's on the wing, only when it's in action. I'll become as a firefly, and even in the daytime, my glow, my inspiration, my creative ideas will be seen in spite of the sun. Let others be as butterflies who preen their wings, yet depend on the charity of a flower for life. Let us not be butterflies today. Let us be in action. I'll be as the firefly, and my light will brighten the world. Sometimes we have to get into action. I've said often, paraphrase from a friend who got it from a pastor in LA, God doesn't drive parked cars. He just doesn't drive parked cars. We got to get moving. And when we get moving, we can start to see more clearly the directions in which we might consider going. Just consider this today. As you go through this week, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, an opportunity to be grateful for all of our blessings. Perhaps this year, we might want to reflect on some of those trials and challenges and how they helped us see the stars in our life, how they helped us to get through a battle and learn how to fight more effectively, how they prepared us to more empathetically serve another person. So as we count our blessings in this Thanksgiving season, perhaps that's one we might want to consider. Can we be grateful for our challenges and how they have created our character? When I had the Chicago dream, you can read about it, Today I Begin a New Life, or go see the TED Talk that I did on this topic. Your character has been forged in the furnace of adversity. You know what pain feels like. Can you take it back? No. But you can choose to use it as a rich resource through which you can better understand what somebody else is suffering. And if you'll choose to use it that way, there'll finally be purpose in the suffering, joy in your journey, and much needed healing in your soul. I close with my dear friend Chad Hymas. 2,000-pound bale of hay rolled down and crushed him, left him a quadriplegic. He was rushing to deliver that bale of hay to the elk in his elk ranch, wanting to hurry back to the house to see his son's first step. He would be in the hospital for quite some time. Today, a decade later, Chad travels the world. 300 speeches a year, 500,000 miles. And he travels by himself, a quadriplegic, often with 2 or 3 very heavy suitcases. And he gets to bless everyone around him who get to serve him in that process. I asked him, Chad, if you could get your feeling back in your legs and arms to be able to hold your children and love your wife physically, would you trade? Not that it's an option, but would you? And he said, no, I wouldn't. What I've learned and the lives I've been able to impact far outweigh what I've lost. We have a tendency to focus on what's gone. I know sometimes I do. My hearing is going. Oh, my hearing aids aren't working well. My sight is going. Oh my goodness, my body is starting to have some creaks and pains, and yeah, all of us. Maybe you're having a financial challenge or a relationship challenge. Take this moment to just step back quietly. See what you can learn from this. How could you more effectively serve another human being? How could you gain ability in this storm by learning how to ride it out as the mariner rides out the storm? Now, that may not be the cheeriest message for a Monday morning, but I think it's more important today that we look at our challenges differently than spending the day trying to play like we don't have them or wishing we didn't. Let us embrace life and learn from it and become better people and greater servants. That's my hope. And may you, in doing so, have the very best week of your life. Thanks, everyone. Happy Monday.